spooky friends, welcome. We are getting into our first Halloween Decorate With Me video this year, and I am very excited about it. I've been working on this one for a couple of weeks, giving you a quick glimpse at some of the things we're going to be using today, getting some candlesticks nice and drippy so they're ready when we need them, and then we're going to go off and start in the entryway. So for those of you that are new, about 95% of my decor and furniture is thrifted. So I'm very passionate about vintage and antique pieces and thrifting. And I just don't find myself really drawn to the decor at big box stores. And that even kind of goes for Halloween decor. So almost everything is thrifted. I do have a few things that I was able to purchase to kind of go along with my antiques. So I will link whatever I'm able to link down below for you. This creepy cloth would be one of those things that I can link for you. I got this on Amazon. It comes with a ton in the pack, and I did get it a couple of years ago, so I need to double check and make sure that the same one is still available, but you get a ton of it. So I decided to kind of just drape it down here on the stairway, and you'll see that I actually am able to go down the stairs once and then back up the stairs with it. So it's really, really long. You could definitely cut this up and use it in multiple areas of the house if you don't have like a really long area to use it in. And then we're just going to add a couple of books here, a skull, add some spider webs, and just kind of continue to spookify this area out. Be sure to stay until the end of the video. I always like to do like a reveal at the end where I've set the mood, really created the ambiance for you. So I will have the lights down low and all of my displays lit up, so you definitely don't want to miss it. Be sure to stay tuned. I didn't want to do too much to this little basket since we do use it a lot, so I kept that really simple. And then we're going to swap this printout for a portrait of Edgar Allan Poe. This was a public domain image, so it was free, and I just printed it off. And then I used a photo mat so that it would fit in my frame. So I think I only spent $4 on the photo mat. That's all it cost me. And I don't have a link for this image, but if you go and search public domain images and then search for Edgar Allan Poe in one of those, you'll find several different ones. I know that I came across more than just this one. One of the many things that I love about our old home are all of the character features. So these little arch niches, we've got I think 3 of them. We have arch doorways throughout, just things that you don't find in newer builds, and I think it makes decorating really, really fun. Because of the Edgar Allan Poe portrait, I kind of felt like I had a Poe theme going on in the entryway, so I just kind of ran with that. And so I thought the raven was perfect over here. Now, I am sure that this is probably a crow, but for the sake of my theme, we're gonna call it a raven. After I kind of finish styling the top here, we're gonna move down to the bottom, and I'm really just gonna stack up a bunch of books down here. And I will say, I wish that I had a bunch of like brown and black books. I think that would look a lot more in line with my theme, but I really have trouble coming across specifically brown, like nice old brown books, or they're priced really high. So I just used what I had and I flipped them around so that you're just kind of seeing the pages to keep it a little bit more neutral. You know, we're just working with what we got. Moving on into the dining room, again with the spider webs. I think one of the things that makes Halloween so fun to decorate for me is that my decor style really translates well into Halloween. I love Victorian inspired pieces, so I've kind of got that like spooky haunted house vibe going on without the spider webs year round, and then I just throw some spider webs and a skull in there, and you know, voila, you have Halloween. We're gonna do a fun little display over here in the buffet nook area. So I started off with draping some creepy cloth over this old window that we have in here, and I lived with it for a few days, and just something about it just didn't feel right. So I ended up actually pulling it down. I even tried to layer it differently, but it just, for whatever reason, I just didn't like the way it was looking. So I left it in here so you guys could see it's also in place for most of the styling. You'll have to let me know down in the comments if you liked it better with or without. And then I had this skull print that I purchased from Amazon several years ago. I'll see if they still have it and link it if it's still available. But I really didn't want to hang it like I usually do. I wanted to frame it. So I had this thrifted art piece that I was planning to sell the art out of, which I ended up actually using it for the backing in this little project. So I do feel kind of bad that I ruined it, but it worked very well for what I needed it for. I just used some Mod Podge and pasted my skull print down on top of it. You can actually see here that it was a little bit wrinkled initially when I put it down on here, but I actually threw it back in the sunroom for a little bit. It was really hot in there that day, and it smoothed it out very nicely for me. So then we're gonna take this and we're going to use this as kind of our big centerpiece on this buffet. This buffet is really big, and I feel like I always have trouble styling it because it needs a really large something to go on it. So this actually worked out really well. And then just this old thrifted mirror. It's probably one of the first like items that I thrifted many, many years ago, and I have painted it a couple of different colors since then. But we're gonna put that on there, layer it with some books, and this box that I got at a garage sale. I think it was a $10 find, and I opened it up and remembered that it's red on the inside, which I didn't initially have planned for this area. I really didn't have much of a vision for this area, so you'll kind of see me backtrack a little bit to add layers, and that's just because I didn't have a lot of direction, but I actually really love the way this all came out. Sometimes that is the most fun way to style areas, is just kind of like gathering a bunch of things and starting to throw it together and going back and adding layers and seeing it kind of transform. So that's kind of what you'll see here, but I definitely wanted to use Victorian pieces. I had a friend who said she had some like creepy items that she thought I might like, including this Victorian china doll. She's filled with sawdust and totally leaking all over the place. I need to sew up her backside, but she's actually, they're worth a lot of money. Mine's not in very good condition, so I don't know how much she's actually worth, but when I looked them up, I was very surprised that they go for a couple $100 usually. So over here, we're tying in some of that red in a couple of other places. I really wanted to leave this Edgar Allan Poe book in here, so I tried it a couple of different ways, but the undertone of it was so blue that it just wasn't working in here, and ultimately I ended up pulling it out. Again, with the spider webs over the mirrors, something that I really love about doing this is that all of my chandelier and fairy lights, the way that they reflect through the spider webs just gives like a really cool effect. So that's kind of why I keep putting spider webs on the mirrors. I just really like the effect that it gives. This is another one of those items that my friend gave me, and she's creepy. I'm not gonna lie, our 3-year-old, this is the only thing that he is actually like creeped out about that's in our house, because as soon as I put the spider on her, she just, it's major creep factor. I always like to have a little drink station or a little bar station over here on the buffet. So because I'm going for that maximalist look on this buffet, I really wanted to fill it out. So I thought this tray fit on here perfectly. I added, of course, some twinkle lights, some spider webs. I feel like it almost looks like fog or smoke or something. And then used my favorite goblets as well as this liquor decanter, which I have actually rub and buffed and then used some brown acrylic paint to try to age it. It did used to be like a mercury glass color. So I think that turned out really well. And we're adding a little bit more creepy cloth, some fake bones. We're gonna finish kind of spooking this little area out before moving on to the next. So I added this little scorpion on here, and it was actually Jameson's. When he saw it, he stole it back very quickly. So let's pretend like it's in the final shots, but he definitely was not cool with mom borrowing it. So now we are moving on to this little bat swarm. I cut these out with my Cricut. I did, I think, 3 different sizes initially. I'm gonna be revisiting it to add a smaller size in here in a little bit in the video, but I thought it'd be cool to have them going around this corner and swooping up over the mirror. I used painter's tape for these, and I've had them up for over a week, and they're holding up very well for me. Moving into the living room, we're gonna do a fun little display on our antique piano. We actually got this for free off of Facebook Marketplace. They are such a pain to move that people just give them away for free. So this one's really, really beautiful. And it came with these free music sheet books. This one was from 1933, which I thought was really cool because our house was built in 1932. So it was very fitting. And as I was looking for a sheet that would fit well with Halloween, I found this one that is called Masquerade. So I thought it was perfect and decided that was gonna be kind of my little theme in here, and we're gonna steal the masquerade mask off of our other skeleton here in just a little bit, so you'll kind of see that, but we're gonna add some twinkle lights and then some other fun vintage finds to deck this thing out. I really wanted to have Skolivin, or Scully for short, playing the piano, but this one that we got from Spirit Halloween last year, he doesn't sit up very well, so I had to prop him up on the piano, so that's why he's facing out rather than playing the piano. But he has some funky like light up feature with his eyes that we never use. He's not my favorite. I actually really like the one we got from Party City a little bit better. We got that one last year. I think they're only like $30 this year. I could be wrong, but I would not go with this fancy skeleton if I had to repurchase all over again. We're gonna add some black butterflies. I also printed these out with my Cricut. I love the way they turned out. I've been seeing this black butterfly thing for Halloween for the last couple of years, and I think it's really pretty. I think it's gonna be big. I think you're gonna see it a lot this year. I think it's a really cool option if you want to switch up from the typical bat swarm and do something a little bit different this year. It's still Halloween-esque because they're black, but just really beautiful at the same time. We're gonna tidy up the china cabinet a little bit. Really, it needed cleaned out. I've kind of just been picking and pulling from it for a couple of months now. So the main thing it needed was straightening, and then we're gonna do a couple of little elements that will tie the rest of the room together within here, but I didn't want to add too much because I don't want to have to redecorate the whole thing after Halloween. So I will kind of add a couple of things that I think will fit really well and tie everything in nicely, but for the most part, we're just gonna kind of straighten this up. pulled a couple of stems off of the red florals over on the buffet to put in here, so that would kind of tie that together. And then we're gonna put some black butterflies on this platter. And I really like, I don't think I got a good shot of it, but it looks like they are coming out of the teapot. That was one of my mom's vintage teapots, so it's very special to me. And I thought it was just really cool how it looks like the butterflies are kind of flying out of it. And then we're gonna move over to our French doors. We keep these open 98% of the time. It's another feature of our house that I really love, but they are open all of the time. And so I thought it'd be fun to just put some spider webs with some spiders on them. I did make it to where they're still functional, so if we needed to close them for some reason, we could still do that and it wouldn't disrupt the function of them. I just felt like this was missing something, and of course fairy lights were the answer. So I used my favorite hack of the Velcro command strips. I actually keep one up underneath my banister all the time, and then I just put one on the back of my fairy light battery packs, and I can just pop them up underneath and they stick under there hidden away. And I'm just gonna kind of string my fairy lights up. This totally added just some magic to the space. It definitely needed it. Hang tight, we are getting very close to the end. We're gonna update this print, this floral print that I have up here really quick, add some butterflies to this, and then we are getting into the reveal, so don't go anywhere. We're getting very close. This print I ended up getting at MPIX because it was a larger size than I could do at home. And one of my favorite tricks is just to use the glass from the frame and trace around it. I actually created new backing out of the cardboard that it came with, and then also used it as a guide to cut the actual print so that all of it would fit nicely into the frame. We're gonna hang it up, we're gonna do some butterflies, and then we're gonna get to that reveal. The scale of the larger frame was undoubtedly a better fit for this space, but because this is just temporary, I didn't want to move the nails around and I didn't want to pay for a larger print than this. I just kind of made it work with what I had, and then we just used some butterflies to kind of fill in the extra space.